and live your life today. It doesn't matter what they say.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Red Lotus Life. I'm here with my beautiful co-creator, Sarah Elizabeth Hoffman. We are I'm an advanced spiral practitioner. She is a womb spiral practitioner and also spiral practitioner. And together we create Red Lotus Life. I'm really excited as we begin to have these discussions after we just barely finished up the embodiment workshop. We've been rolling into all of these other projects and things that we're doing, but now we want to talk about sharing our experiences and supporting survivors of abuse here in this space, and really just sharing how we're using the tools that we know and the tools that we have so many at this point, and how we're literally creating a life that we love after abuse. So we're going to start diving into a little bit of these conversations. Today, specifically, we're going to be talking about the Say Yes to Soul membership. It has been going on in January, it'll be 3 years. I can't believe it.
Wow.
Yeah, I just can't believe it. But what's cool about that is that the people who have been in Say Yes to Soul from the very beginning with us, they're starting to see a transformation that is happening. And also we are too, because this is where we do the work with our people and with our members. So it's been amazing to watch what happens with us and also the members in there as we still continue to do this work every single month.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally, our lives are transforming right before our eyes. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is absolutely beautiful to be able to be in that space, and so much gratitude for you. I actually have been in that space since the very beginning, and just to be able to look back, because it was just shortly after Spiral, and for me, Spiral practitioner training, and then continuing to do the work for the past 3 years. I can't believe it's been 3 years. It seems like just a flash. But to see where we were then as compared to where we are now, and also what, the other members have experienced and where they are now as compared to then, it's mind blowing. It's such a transformation.
It really is a transformation because, just thinking back then, there were these goals and aspirations and dreams of living such a different life. I mean, for every single member, right? I mean, it's called Say Yes to Soul. So this is where we're saying yes to our soul, and we're doing emotional clearing sessions in there. And I just even reflecting on me, I never in a million years would expect to be where I am today, especially with Red Lotus Life, especially with Say Yes to Soul, and just every single area of my life is completely different. I'm at this level that I couldn't even comprehend because I didn't have a reference point for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm trying to find words for exactly how I want to share this, but it feels as if every time there's an intention set for the clear, we sort of dive into it sort of blindly, not really knowing for sure exactly what's going to come to the surface to be healed and to be released. And it's always a surprise to some extent, but also not. And every single intention always comes to fruition, which I think is the most beautiful part of it all. Once we continue to do the work and we're just peeling back more layers of the onion, deeper layers of the onion every single time. And it just continues to deepen, and it continues to just to be enhanced.
Mm-hmm.
It continues to be enhanced. And it's not just the transformation within ourselves that I witness, but also the transformation generationally and throughout our lineage, and the things that we're able to heal that way.
Yeah. That's what I want to talk about, actually. That's why we're doing this right now. So November, we are doing, so every month we do an emotional clear, and then we take the month to integrate that clear. This one particular for November was family relationships. We did the clear last week. And yeah, I'm so excited to dive into this. Okay, so we did the clear last week, and what happens in the first week after it clears, you kind of have like this blanket, right? And you just like shake all the crap off of the blanket. And so there's kind of like a little bit of a chaos that ends up happening after the 1 week after the clear. And the emotional block here with family relationships was integrity, and it was in the area of self to self. And so I wanted to come out here and share what I'm experiencing, because, and then if you are okay sharing what you're experiencing, because even though we're in Say Yes to Soul together, and it was the same group clearing, we all had our separate intentions, and we all have individual experiences happening with this as we integrate, but it's also still connected. And that's kind of what I want to talk about here.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and just dive into what I'm experiencing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So with me, I'll just give a little bit of a definition here real quick so that our listeners and viewers can have a reference point to what we're talking about. So integrity with the spiral modality, I'll just read the definition here real fast. Let me find it. So integrity is a sense of alignment between one's divine and human selves. So that's literally your soul, your higher self, your spirit, whatever you would like to reference it as, and your human self, your body, right? So that's what's going on here. It's in the governing meridian, which is the masculine energy, also the right side of your body, and it can also be the soul and the spirit, right? So this block of integrity was actually in the area of self to self, which always makes me laugh, because this is when we literally create our own story. We create our own limiting belief. We create our own emotional block. So to have integrity in the area of self to self in relationship to family relationships, I went big. Like I'm experiencing this on a humanity level. So with family relationships, that can be anybody that's blood related or immediate family. It can also be people that are not blood related. And it's just people that you feel are your family. And for me, because of the work I do and some of the level of clients that I have, they are on this humanity level. And that's where I've been living in this level, like this, almost like bird's eye view on what is happening with humanity for the last week in the sessions that I've been doing. And there's this definitely like a war going on that I think anybody and everybody can understand. A lot of people will put a label on it and kind of say good versus evil. I don't like necessarily using that, but I definitely see it as in there's a war going on in being in integrity with our beliefs and being in alignment with our values, and not really having, whenever we're talking about integrity, it's as if our soul and our heart are not matching our actions. And that's what we're going to dive into a little bit today. What are you experiencing on your level there? Like in your experience, your perspective?
Oh, okay. So full disclosure here, you're going to get really, really authentic answers. I'm just going to put that out there because I am really in the energy of this clear right now. So bear with me. And that's what I love about this space and about Red Lotus Life. So, I'm also noticing it within the collective and from the perspective of humanity. But what I was noticing is the trickle down. So we talk about sort of integrity on like the macro level, and that in what's the word I'm looking for here? Relative to the macro, relative to the micro, and how that
Yeah.
trickle down effect
Yeah.
can
We
be
were
seen within
talking
the family.
about, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but tell me if this is what you're looking for. Was it the macrocosm and the microcosm? Because that's what we were talking about before.
Yes, it's
Okay.
the macrocosm of all, you know, of what humanity is actually witnessing in the collective today, and how that trickles down to the microcosm, which is for me what I'm referencing here is around the family, which is what the clear is about. And it's sort of this feeling of how the patriarchy is this huge, massive entity, so to speak. I'll call it an entity, and how that shows up on the collective level as far as what we're seeing, and how that then sort of trickles down into the family unit. And the importance of being able to use your language, or use our language, from a place of discernment, because it's one thing to be able to sort of emanate power and use force, but there's always a way to be able to use our language and our words coming from a place of love rather than just force. This is how it's going to be. And from that place, we can expect a different outcome as compared to just this is going to be one way, my way or the highway kind of thing. There's always a way to navigate from a place of love that will have a better outcome eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can 100% relate to this and resonate with this because you're absolutely right. What's happening on this macro level in our world and with humanity right now, it really is trickling down into our homes. All of it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're all feeling it. It's trickling down into our homes. And again, it comes down to, are we in alignment, our divine self, our heart and our soul, and communicating that, right? Communicating that to our family or who we feel is family in our community. And we're not, like, the actions just are not matching. So there's been, so with the work that we do with Spiral and the modality, we're able to, it is so advanced and so powerful in this way. We're able to actually get the exact moment. We're able to locate the exact moment in which this imprint of integrity in self to self, so meaning we created our own story, happened. And what happened was we discovered it was at the age of 18. And so as I've been reflecting on this and going, okay, so what was going on? What was happening in my life at that time? And I'm reflecting and contemplating, and it is directly related to an imprint that happened when I was 18 years old. I had just moved out of the house. In fact, I was somebody that I couldn't wait. I mean, probably since for like 15 to 18, that's all I did was ask for like towels and furniture and pots and pans and dishes and things like that so that I could move out as soon as I graduated. Like, that's what I wanted to do. I was so independent. I just was like, yep, peace out, I'm gone. So like, second I graduated, I went and got my first apartment. This is where I ended up in a difficult situation. This was one of the first abusive situations I'd been in and had experienced in a domestic way that was not an intimate relationship. It was actually with a roommate. And that, I actually share that story in the Red Lotus Life group. So if anyone wants to hear that, you're welcome to go and join our private group. It's over in Facebook right now. But it was interesting because it was only like, I don't know, a couple months after. And all of a sudden I find myself in this very violent, very hostile environment where literally all of my things were getting broken all the time. And when I say things, I'm talking like I would come home and just dishes were just like thrown on the ground in the kitchen because this person didn't want to clean them. So instead, he ended up just smashing everything. And we can talk about all of that another time. But what is cool about this is that I realized that I had gone to my family. So this imprint was I had gone to my family, or this is the story I told in my head. I had gone to my family and I had kind of shared what was happening. And I thought I was asking for help. I thought that's how I was communicating, was saying, this is what's happening. How do I get out of this situation? I didn't really get any advice except I think my mom, and she'll probably comment here after she reads it. But I think my mom probably did the whole thing of like, well, how long is your lease for? And how can we get them out? You know, she always likes to go the legal route of things. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know. But then I'm telling my friends, and I have a friend at that time that was like, nope, this is not okay. He gets angry about what's happening. Him and his friends, they go in, they swoop me up, they pick up all my stuff, they move me out, they put me into a new apartment. This is where I am. And that's what had happened in that moment. So I want to define self to self real quick for everyone. So self to self, it relates to any internal decision or conversation that takes place in our own head or perception we hold of ourselves. So that is literally in that moment, I went, oh, my family didn't come rescue me. I've been abandoned by my family. I can't rely on my family for anything anymore. And what that translated into a year later was I ended up in a relationship with the person that came in, swooped me up, saved me, put me over here, you know. And that created a trauma bond that then also continued the cycle of abuse. So my mind is freaking blown right now, because when you and I were talking earlier about it, and I was saying, holy cow, this is what's happening in my life, I started to recognize that pattern. And I started to actually notice that this actually happened in the generations before me. And this also happened in the generations after me. Like both of my children moved out before they were 18 years old. They were very independent. I raised them to be very independent. They both did the same thing. And then this is actually for another time as well. So I won't go into that. But holy cow, the generational conditioning and cycle that happens has been blowing my mind in the last 7 days.
Yeah. And this is literally the exact same scenario that you just described is literally what is happening with me and, family members for me right now, the exact same scenario. So it is also interrelated and so connected. And I'm also able to see that generationally with me. And both the past and the present, or both the past and future generations. What am I trying to say here?
Well, I feel like right now it's the past, the present, and the future with you.
Yeah, it is. It actually is. And so when you talk about creating our own stories, and with this being the emotion being integrity, ultimately what it looks like is being out of integrity with self, right? And also out of alignment. There's this place where, because it is related to both the divine self and the human self, and where are our actions not in integrity around self, and how we're moving in the world, how we're communicating, the decisions that we're making, all the way from just a minor communication to financially, it's all there. It's all there. And then the repercussions for not being in integrity with self, because that also ripples out to, our other family members. And this is just so interconnected in so many different ways. And this is a huge clear. It's huge. Another piece of it that I'm feeling is going back to the connection to the divine self, which truly does feel unconditional love for all, as compared to how the human self feels. There's like a disconnect there, right? Because we do want to have unconditional love, and we do want to believe that anybody can heal. But because we have our own wounds, I think one of the things that's coming up for me is, how much am I still creating myself? How much of the disconnect and as I said, I'm definitely losing words because all of this is just kind of starting to land. But what can I do different? How can I show up differently in order to even further prevent some of the things that come up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're talking about, how much of this am I actually creating, right? So
yeah, because of the story.
Yeah. The work of the spiral is that we pull the unconscious into the conscious, right? So we constantly talk about how we can't change what we don't know. And so we bring it from the unconscious. Now we have it in our awareness of like, oh, okay, this is what's happening right now. And then we pull it into our conscious awareness. So now we can create these changes. But when I was reflecting on this even deeper, and I was even thinking about like the ego mind and the psyche of the ego mind and all of that, the ego mind is amazing. It's amazing. It is there for us to, it protects us, actually, is what it does. And we talk about this over and over and over again, how that is what this body is for, the mental body, is to literally protect us. So when we're talking about the mind-body connection, and you're also talking about the divine and human connection, right? The divine self, the human self, we have the mind-body connection. The mind is like in the way of that. Even whenever, if you go like this, or you go like this, like the mind is there. And so whenever we're talking about self to self, and we're talking about creating our own stories, well, heck yeah. Like that, of course, that's what's going to happen in that moment of me thinking that I communicated to my parents and my family, hey, I need help. Talking to my father who raised me, he was my stepfather, but my father who raised me, and not feeling like it, and it took somebody else to actually come in, swoop in, save me from the situation, save me.
Savior.
Right? Yeah. And now I'm over here. Of course, my mental mind, especially because I was in fight, flight, freeze at that time, my mind is going to say, oh, we're putting up a block. We're putting up a wall. They're not safe. This is what happened. Like it's going to create that story, right? It's going to create the story of my family abandoned me. My family wasn't there for me. I cannot depend on my family for anything, which is funny because if anyone in my family actually is watching this, this is actually the culture of our family even. Like we're very independent. And I think it's a very unconscious thing. It's also something that's in our DNA that we're passing down through our generations, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but that's what happened in this moment. And so when you're talking about, well, and here's the thing too, and I was talking to my mom about it, she doesn't even remember it. She remembers the situation, but she doesn't remember me asking for help or anything like that. In her mind, she knew about the situation. Somebody helped me. I was safe. Right. So that's what happened. That was her perspective. My perspective was the story that created. And now, like, that's the mind. That's the ego mind. It did exactly what it's supposed to do. And so that's why I laugh all the time when I go, oh, all right, I just barely created my own limiting belief. That's awesome. But when you're talking about the communication, right, of divine self, and our divine self really is the essence of unconditional love. When we take the mind out of that connection and we become to be in alignment and we begin to communicate from our heart and from our soul, that's exactly what you're speaking to. It's going to be out of a place of love. But when we have these blocks, these mental blocks that are protecting us, which it's doing a great job, like there's nothing wrong with that, right? But sometimes that or whatever we're saying, whatever we're communicating comes out sideways. And then the person that you're communicating with or having this experience with, now, I don't know, anyone can tell me if you relate to this. you're trying to talk and you're trying to communicate, and then something gets said, and now all of a sudden you're arguing or fighting over what was just said because somebody's feelings are hurt. And so they don't ever even feel that it was from a place of love, because it wasn't, the delivery was out of protection versus out of love, even though the intent was love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this happens so much more commonly than we expect, and or than we know, realize, experience. And I think one of the stories that I have felt coming up is, yes, the abandonment. That's always been one of those stories, and we've done so much work around that. And then it's the no matter what, I'm going to be let down. That ego mind, that's one of those stories. No matter what, I'm always going to be let down. And so we sort of operate in the world from day to day from this place of, no matter what, I already expect that XYZ is going to go wrong, or I'm not going to be supported. And it does also create that story of, I have to do it alone. I can't ask for help. It's the exact same thing as you were just sharing. And so that's been a huge part of this clear, as well as just getting to that place of being okay to ask for help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's what our human selves actually are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our divine self, definitely. And our human self, I mean, we are tribal. Humans
Mm-hmm.
are tribal. We are supposed to lean on each other. We are supposed to ask for help when needed. So it's such a fascinating time in our world right now. And then, so you can look at it as a world in the macrocosm. You can also look at your own individual, like what's happening in your home because
Mm-hmm.
of this. And now I just hope that now that we're speaking about it, I know this is what's happening for our members and for us, but I hope by us speaking about it here on this platform, that it will start to bring in some aha moments and go, oh crap, that's what's happening with me and my family. And oh shoot, because this is how we can actually shift into alignment. And now we can create a life that we love, because family relationships are hard, especially when there's abuse involved.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels like this is exactly why we use the title, Remember Who You Are, because every single day that we're doing this work, we're remembering who we are. And it's that divine self that we're remembering,
Mm-hmm.
connecting back with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, releasing conditioning in a
Mm-hmm.
super advanced and powerful way. And so whenever we talk about, you will be in a different place than you were 30 days ago, when you're in Say Yes to Soul, we mean it. And so it's going to be fun to even talk about this clear throughout the month of November, because we are going to be 100% in a different place than we were at the beginning. We're going to look back and go, wow, that's really crazy cool. Because here's the other thing in Say Yes to Soul is that we use the rest of the month to integrate. And with integration, it's implementation. It's inspired actions and implementation of how to. This is why you're in a different place, because you'll actually cultivate these family relationships. You'll develop them and start communicating in a totally different way that's going to cultivate the family relationships that you've always desired. So,
Yeah, I love it, because it's during the integration where we're actually able to create those new neural pathways that actually then allow us to make a different choice. Because once it's all collapsed to a place of neutrality, then we have that opportunity to do something different.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm excited to share more.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk to or speak to? No? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we invite everyone to come to the Remember Who You Are retreat in Zion, Utah, Zion National Park. It'll be in Springdale, Utah, at the most beautiful location. Namaste. Go to the website. You'll check it out. There's even a video of the serenity and the peace that you're going to feel as you're there. You're going to be there with us. We're going to deep dive into emotional clearing. You're going to be able to learn the actual tools that we use of emotional clearing. And we were talking about the retreat and how important the work is, and how like we're going to deep dive while we're there. And it's the thing that we really love to do is support the people who come and do this work, because once you do this work, you just start to see through a different lens. And so it's really important to be around like-minded people and in a community that actually knows and understands this work. And so we are actually offering 12 months of Say Yes to Soul membership to anyone who comes to the retreat. We have very limited space there. It's a very intimate setting with us for 4 nights and 5 days. So, in one of the most beautiful places in the world. So very excited for that. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
The only other thing that I wanted to mention was just the fact that we just recently launched the GoFundMe. We actually have a link on YouTube that you can search below in one of the playlists and find out all about the reason, the why behind why I decided to create a GoFundMe for Red Lotus Life. I'm super excited about that and so incredibly grateful for the fact that we already have some donations coming in. So much gratitude, just so much gratitude. And yeah, go check it out and see why we are raising money for Red Lotus Life. Big things happening.
Big things happening. One of the reasons why we're raising money is because we are offering scholarships to the retreat as well. We would like a domestic abuse survivor, or domestic violence survivor, and then an abuse survivor, and also a trafficking survivor. So we're raising money for that. So excited for everything. So much love and gratitude for all of you. Thank you for sharing this space with us. If you like what you're seeing, go ahead and hit the like button so that we'll know that you want to see more of this. If you think there's somebody out there that would benefit from this, please share this with them, because that's exactly why we're here, is to just share our experiences and to help and support others who are in the same situations. And then always subscribe, because we come in and try to do this every single week to just share a little bit more, either with education or experiences. So, we hope that you have an amazing, fabulous week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
And live your life today.